All right, folks, welcome to the Monsters, Madness, and Magic podcast. I'm your host, Justin, here with a quick word before we dive in. Now, in this episode, I chat with musician Jean-Pierre Abboud about the Canadian heavy metal scene, science fiction, writing stories, traveler, and more. As always, thank you all for listening out there. And if you'd like to help the show grow and you're listening on your podcasting platform of choice, consider leaving a review. And if you happen to be watching the video on YouTube, please like, comment, and subscribe. Anyway, without further ado, here you go. JP, take us back in time. You're a youngster. Are you a book reader, fort builder, troublemaker, or all the above?
I'm gonna go with Ernie Hudson's answer and say all of the above.
That's a good one.
I was the kid that. Do you remember the kid on the playground who would like play pretend by themselves? That
I,
was me.
yeah, I was that guy sometimes too.
That was 100% me. I would read books a lot. Once the okay, I was reading better books until R.L. Stine came around. But then he just made me like, no, no, I like this. This rocks. You know what I'm saying? Like
Need the trash.
it just rocks. Yeah. And then like then I got into comic books kind of from there and like more like pulp stuff, but yeah, no, at first like, I had like this my father was from Beirut, Lebanon, and he wanted to read like Victor Hugo, Les Miserables, like all kinds of stuff like that. At an early age because he wanted to like play classical music for the baby and stuff. But the thing is, he started me on my addiction, my hard rock heavy metal addiction. Like he played Rush all the time and always was playing Rush on his Fender acoustic, which I still have. But he was always playing Rush, always playing Pink Floyd, always playing Deep Purple, and trying to get me on the keyboard to play the keyboard part in Child in Time in like the little build up at the beginning with him and stuff like that. So, you know, uh, he definitely put the hard rock bug in my brain from a very very young age.
So you said all of the above. What about troublemaking? What kind of trouble are we talking about here?
Oh no, I got thrown out of Catholic school in sixth grade for blasphemy.
Oh,
Um,
that's a plus.
yeah. I mean, I really wasn't. I was really trying to be good too. It was crazy. Like, I would run afoul of the nuns. Like I would have like an oppositional defiance thing. Okay, they'd be like, get down, do the sign of the cross, and I do it like the wrong way, just like ha ha ha. But they were like, you cannot do that. Just very very like, yeah.
Serious.
So troublemaker. Yeah, 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 definitely.
Whereabouts did you grow up? Like, what would you consider your hometown?
Oh, I don't have one, my man. I don't have one. I moved maybe 16 times before I was 18.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is that because your
Even lived in
parents work or
Dusseldorf.
something?
Oh, well, my dad's work, yeah, but even lived in Dusseldorf, Germany for a little bit when I was a second grader. Went to international school for just a little bit, but not even a full year. So lots of moving around.
Oh, I assume you speak a lot of languages.
I would, but there's another thing there. I'm very candid about stuff nowadays, whereas back in the day I'd be more guarded, but these days, yeah, it doesn't matter. I'm 37. I had a head injury when I was 5, a bad one. Like rough housing with dad, having fun, but just a bad one. And
Yeah.
I you can see me in home videos before that point. I'm speaking like French and Arabic and English all separately pretty cogently for
Hmm.
a 4-year-old. But then I kind of had to learn stuff again after that happened. And I do believe it gave me somewhat of a learning disability because ever since then, I'm very much a vernacular osmosis learner. Like, I've had so many different kinds of schools because of all the moves I've done, try to say this is wrong or that's wrong. Well, what's happening here with him, and it's like, it's more like I'm just gonna learn it on my own because now, like, whatever happened to me, the huge hit that I took in the front of my head, it's making it like I just learn everything kind of in my own way, osmosis style, and like I said before, vernacular, and that's how I've picked everything up, including singing in bands and things like that.
Yeah, and like, all that moving when you're a kid, it just has to affect you socially too, just with your schooling and trying to, make friends here, make friends there, and stuff like that.
It's tough. It was tough. Like always tough to relate to the new group. And definitely I escaped into book reading, fort building, definitely some troublemaking.
So you did mention comics. So what are some standouts?
Oh God, the Spectacular Spider-Man, not amazing. Though that series, I got it from. Well, see, my Uncle Jerry is a huge comic book guy. Like, I mean, like Met Harvey Pecar, Cleveland kind of comic book guy.
Shit.
And yeah, he rocks. And he yeah, lots of great issues just bequeathed to me from him, you know. And well, and then since I was a little kid too, you know, I was super into like Sonic the Hedgehog because that was just what was marketed to us. So I had a bunch of those Archie comics too. And I remember this is the craziest thing. I remember getting into this like bare knuckle brawl in second grade. I didn't turn into a fighting guy when I got older, by the way. Like it didn't happen. But like when I was younger, like in the international school compared to the American school, this is how some troublemaking happened. I know this is tangential, but
That's what we're here for.
in the international school in Dusseldorf, they let us roughhouse on the in the play. They let kids like score settle and stuff. They let it happen. They supervised it and let it happen. I was interested. This goes back to the comic books. Okay, so the Archie comics for Sonic the Hedgehog are completely different than the ones that were in the UK. And me and this kid were kind of trading the two for a minute, you know, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, this is cool. This is more like you know, serious or whatever, you know, like it's you know, you're a kid, so it's just something new, it's shiny, it's cool, whatever. But then like you know, we got into a scuffle because I guess one of the pages got torn in one of them, and then like my little brother got involved somehow. It was just this big silly like thing. So that was you know, something that I took with me to third grade when I went to Tucson, Arizona to live as a kid. And when I started being that way on the playground, I was immediately like they put me in like a room, like oh you actually you're poorly socialized kind of thing, you know,
I think I prefer the
but this was
European
normal
way.
in this other place. I don't understand, but I guess you know yeah, that's just the culture. Like international school with English kids, they brawl, they just brawl with each other, and then you do it over here, and they want to like section you. You know what I mean? It's like, but yeah, comic books, man. Like those you know, like it's really funny to see how like meme culture turns things into other things.
Yeah.
Because I look at the kind of stuff that people like post with you know like those old comics, and I just um it makes me realize the generational divide I'm in, and that like maybe I'm not understanding irony as much as I used to anymore.
Oh God. Yes, I feel just surfing the internet daily makes me feel like an old fuck. I'm
It
just like I don't get this.
it really does. It's that Will Smith line, got to study just to keep with the times.
So what about formative films and TV shows?
Oh, I don't even. Okay, I had a grandmother, you know, who she's my mom's mother, and she could have had a YouTube channel. She could have had like an old media like YouTube channel and been like an encyclopedic host because she was like one of those TV watching ladies. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I know lots of old stuff that like I'll reference it sometimes in conversations with like a girl that I'm dating or something like that, and they're just like that's like 100 years old. Like what are you talking about? But I watched lots of Perry Mason, lots of yeah, like Dragnet, lots of Chips, lots of you know, just 60s to 70s TV, and watched the formative films thing. Okay. One thing is I saw that you interviewed Marv from Home Alone, Mr. Daniel Stern.
I did.
Yeah, yeah, I'm one of those kids that wore that tape out for sure.
Oh yeah.
I absolutely wore that tape out. And then like transitioning to being like an older guy a little bit, it's like films became, you know, they become more important. They become something you want to view as art. And yeah, I got super into like Herzog and like super into there's this great oh man, I did this internship once at the Detroit Institute of Art when I was in college, and they screened My Winnipeg by a filmmaker named Guy Maddin. Amazing film.
I'm
Amazing
not
film.
familiar with that.
Oh, masterpiece. Actually, Charlie from War on Music. Do you remember that guy from
Yeah.
Canada? He had
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
band Evil Survives. He knows him really well. And that was
Wow.
like, you know, kind of one of those things where like you're on the road and that's like a later connection. Like, wait, yeah, we screened this film at the this theater. So that's why, you know, even though I'm like I'm an ADD bomb right now on your show. I could tell. That's why I appreciate the show you're doing, you know.
That's what it's about. So, would you consider yourself a big movie goer? Did you like the theater experience?
Yeah. Although recently I have not had such a good time going to the theater, but there are two, I can point to two recent things that pretty sick. The Mad Max film back in like 2014, 2015, that was everyone came out of the theater like we saw Jurassic Park in the
Yeah, yeah,
90s or
yeah.
something, you know, everyone had the feeling back, you know. And that new Beetlejuice was actually good. I couldn't believe it.
I've heard split things. You know, I haven't seen it myself, but I'm cautious. Cautiously optimistic about it.
I saw it the other day and I loved everything about it.
Awesome.
I yeah, I couldn't believe like some of the horror tributes that were being pumped out of there. It's like he's been in like a CGI cage for 20 years and just broke out of it. Like, oh, it can finally work again, you know?
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was it
yeah.
was great.
So obviously, man, you have a great voice, but was it always the voice for you? Did you pick up an instrument along the way early on?
I've always dabbled. Like bass, I can you know, play serviceably, I would say, but like I always stuck with singing. I started on bass in one of my bands, but then moved to singing at the recommendation of the guitar player. Um, yeah, and I feel like I've only kind of been okay at it for like 5 years now. And I've been
Wow.
doing it for maybe 15, almost 20.
So where does that begin? Do you sing in school? Maybe a choir, anything like that?
Not at all. People thought I was terrible. Not at all.
Wow.
0%. I did theater. Did not do good at that either. Although I did do theater in the same high school as do you know the actor Billy Magnuson?
Not off the top of my head, but I probably know him from something if I saw his face.
He's in lots of new stuff, like lots of you know, like but he was like a couple of classes above me. And so it was like a really serious school for drama despite being a public school. But yeah, I didn't make any headway there. Like I couldn't act. It was like uh I am in a horror movie where I also cannot act. I don't know if you've seen it,
What is it?
Metal Maniac.
I have not seen it.
Oh, it's a 2012 film.
You get killed?
I I think that you could say later on, but the thing is, I play a young version of the late great Jim Sadist's character, Metal Joe. So I'm like younger him at the beginning of the movie, and then Jim takes over for the rest and builds the metal monster that kills posers.
Uh, I'm gonna have to check that out, man.
Oh, it's easy to find, I think. I think you can YouTube it or yeah, yeah.
Gotcha, gotcha. So, the question I like to ask everyone is, before we get too far from your childhood, is what scared you as a kid?
Oh man, intangibility. Like God scared me. I would like think in my head like like I can say fuck God in my head. I can say that.
Yeah.
You know, that scared me as a 7-year-old boy. Like that nothing is going to strike me down if I do that. And I had phases in my teenage years where I would tell people I'm a nihilist and they're hearing that word for the first time. Oh, what is that? What is that? Ooh, wow, you know. I hadn't seen The Big Lebowski, so I didn't know how ridiculous it was, you know. Uh, and you know, I'd say like you know, I was into black metal for the first time, listening to Mayhem and like being 14 years old, you know, and like it's like you know, it's like, but you know, I realized growing up and maturing and getting older, that I've always been Catholic and that I've always been into the dark side of Catholicism, that I've always been into duality, that I've always been into as above, so below, that has always been something that's followed me around. And it was something that as a youth, not understanding it at all, it frightened me. Yeah.
So, even to this day, do you consider yourself Catholic now?
Um,
Religious? Anything?
I consider myself Catholic and spiritual, but like in a way that I'm fascinated by Satanism. Fascinated by it. I'm fascinated by how much of a variety there is in it now. You know, it's there's so many different sects. I've been trying to like talk to different people that are ST affiliated, you know, and it seems like it's so broken up. It's kind of disparate, you know. But I'm fascinated by I consider this is something people disagree with me with. Yeah, it's fine, but I consider Satanism to be part of Catholicism.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it can't exist without it.
I exactly. You see what I'm saying. You see what I'm saying. It's more, because you're a kid. You want to be like edgy. You want to yell at the clouds in front of everybody, and you want what you yell to resonate, and everyone is, oh, that way that guy yelled at the clouds. That was yeah, yeah. No. This is that's you put away childish things, but then you realize that it was all part of the same thing.
Yeah, I can remember I was raised by a Southern Baptist family, and just having I had existential questions I was asking myself as like a 9-year-old sitting in a tree. My grandma would tell me about the Bible. She'd tell me about, Satan did this and he got cast out. And I'm just like, I can just remember sitting in the tree, 9 years old, staring out, just like, what if he's the good guy? And it's just blowing my freaking mind as a kid. It's just that is a moment that sticks out to me. So I definitely vibe with what you're saying.
No, it's like Isaac Newton thoughts under the tree or something, right? It's like I'm so glad. Yeah, yeah, I totally relate to that. Yeah.
So with the you said you did some theater and such, and obviously you're a great vocalist these days, but early on was stage fright ever an issue? Did you ever have to deal with that?
Yeah, but I didn't know it was stage fright. You want to have like bravado and you want to be like, I don't get stage fright. So now I'm like compartmentalizing my stage fright in all kinds of convoluted ways. And it's just garbage, Like nowadays, no, I'm just so used to it. I'm just
Okay.
so used to it. And also Traveler, I'm so lucky to sing with them. Like I'm so lucky that I get to sing with them. I've been in so many different band situations in my life. And the fact that like it's been 7 years and we just start joking and ribbing each other immediately, like the South Park kids when we see each other, and it's just organized, and I'm grateful for it every day.
Yeah, so earlier, you mentioned some of the records that you grew up on, but when do you start taking it quote unquote seriously, and you're like, man, I want to make music, I want to start my own bands.
I think in 2002 to 2005, I wanted to transition away from being like, just I definitely like I detached from like comic books, video games, things like that, and I just started collecting records. I couldn't stop myself. I just started collecting records and records. I didn't know what my trajectory really was. I kind of went to college to be an English teacher, but then I, kind of changed my mind at the end. And the uh, the thing with that is, I didn't know if I was just going to be kind of a music fan with a big record collection, or if I was going to sing in bands. But I did it sometimes. I did a The first show I ever played was at the Trumbleplex in Detroit, and it was just like a fun time band that we did where we covered like Repulsion, Discharge, Slayer. We did an original song that kind of sounded like Heathen. We did "I Don't Give a Fuck" by Abscess. It was like a pretty great set list for a first show, but like there were a couple like punks in the area. One of them is passed now, but he came up to me and told me, "You should do this. Like we had a good time watching this. You should do this." And it's like, that guy was always really encouraging to me up until he sadly passed. But
Wow.
it was always little wisps in the wind like that, like where someone told me like, no, 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 that was actually pretty like, if you did this, then that, like I always listen to those little bits. I always listen to the really, really negative people. I once had an entire internet forum that was dedicated to how bad I was.
Jesus Christ.
There was once, I mean, I didn't have it, but it was like a whole thing that was like just completely like he's the worst fucking guy that ever did this. Look at these videos, like there was one of those. How bad of words can I say on this show?
You can say whatever you want.
Okay. Like I mean, I love Jamie and I love Midnight, but I got roasted so hard by him at 2013. Keep it true. He straight up called me like an FAGGOT on stage.
Oh my God.
So it's like I've learned to have like skin that's so thick, I'm just itchy all the time. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Holy shit. When, when did when did you get the self-confidence, When did you cut all the bullshit out and you're like, I can actually do this. I can sing. I'm okay.
I mean, I try not to think like that. I try to just think more like practically, like do the thing.
Yeah.
Not like in any past context or anything like that. Now, just because I with the Boys and Traveler, it's like it's so much different and so much more like organized and simple when we get together, that the music making part is like back of the hand, and it's like the rest of it is just like, oh man, like let's try this, let's do this. We're always building on it, and it's never stopped progressing.
Mm. So you mentioned that you gave up games and comics for records. Were you did you consider yourself a gamer growing up?
Um, no, 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 no. I was more solitary. I like playing like the one player games. Like I was the year Final Fantasy VII came out, I kind of had like a computer version because I didn't have a
Hmm.
PlayStation, and I messed around with that for quite a while. But
I'm a big Final Fantasy guy. I've got all of them, all my original Black Labels over there on the shelf.
oh no way. Yeah, yeah, the old black backed CDs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, those were classic. Those looked cool too. I remember being a kid and thinking those looked so cool, but I didn't have that one. No, no, no. I think we had, yeah, I had N64 and then I had Dreamcast. Those were the two I had.
Classics.
Yeah, yeah, it was good stuff. But yeah, I really like after, yeah, basically after those ones, I didn't transition to the next ones, and I just started collecting records.
Mm.
And it was really and then you start meeting people at record stores, and then you start going to punk shows in Detroit, and then I've moved around a lot since then. I've been in Portland, I've been in Vancouver, BC. I just moved to Denver a week or two ago.
Man, you're all over the place.
I'm just trying to go where like it seems like it makes sense, where
Yeah.
like I'll have steady work and I'm not like screwing anyone over by having to leave. That's like it kind of, I'm at the point in my life where I just don't want to see that face where I'm like, okay, 6 months from now I'm gonna do this, and then there's like,
Yeah.
I don't want to see that face anymore. Like
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
I got a cool opportunity out there where like, the homeboy understands, what's happening.
Right. So most impactful live shows that you've seen.
Rush in Atlanta, Georgia in 2002. Dio at Harpo's in 2004 in Detroit.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah, those two. And then oh man, Marillion last year, 3 days in Montreal.
I love Traveler, but the first time I discovered your vocals was with Gatekeeper, with you and Jeff.
Oh
How,
yeah.
how did you and Jeff meet and get that going?
Well, he just asked me to sing for them when they had a show in 2016. Uh, that's a story. That's a story.
Let's
Okay,
hear it.
so okay, my ex-girl and I, like back in the day, we were kind of like Great Value, Lemmy and Wendio. This is how you could characterize us and the way we carried on. So we're both like fucking speeding to the Chicago overnight, and then gonna just like chill, sleep somewhere, and then go do the show later. That was the plan. So we're just bombing out to Chicago overnight. We're speeding. We're smoking tons of weed in the car, and we get pulled over by like the shittiest Indiana cop ever. I think this is before body cam footage, but I ask anybody, if you want to do a FOIA request, find this footage if you can, because it's insane. Like I try to take my phone out to like film these guys, and I mean like I say guys, but like the first guy showed up and he like is demanding we get out, demanding to search the whole vehicle, demanding all this stuff, and I just keep telling him no, 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 that's okay, but we're not doing that. I know that I don't have to say it. Does not matter if you smell something. No, no, no. He's like, probable cause, like losing his shit. And I could tell that he has got that face, that face where it's just like,
He's gonna
oh,
escalate this. Yeah.
can't wait to fuck with these people. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So then like, and my home girl I was with, she has a mocha tattoo like right here. And like this guy just, I know what this guy's thinking. I know what he's thinking, but he gets two other squad cars to show up. And one of the guys gets out and is like got this Chad like tips at the front of his hair kind of thing, and like has horrible tribal tattoos all up his arms. And he's like coming out like, "See, man, I can talk to you guys. I got tattoos. Come on, what's going on?"
I relate with you.
It was bad. It was, and then the other guy looked like George H.W. Bush, like just like the sharpest, smallest eyeglasses, just like the scariest hairline ever, and just like, yep, I've seen people be tortured. I like it. I like it a lot. That kind of deal. That kind of deal. And yeah, it was horrible, man. Like I tried to pull out my phone to film them, and they all pulled guns on me.
God.
They all pulled guns on me. They're just like, put your phone away right now. We don't know if you're calling somebody to come attack us. I'm like, how could anyone attack you? You guys are the guys with the guns, right? Uh, and it's I had to. Oh, dude, you're watching me like you're watching me just try anything because I at this point, homegirl's like losing it and hyperventilating, and they're trying to use that against us, you know?
Yeah, she's on drugs or something.
Oh, they're trying to use that against us. And then like they go and the guy finds our little bit of weed and does a Final Fantasy VII like victory dance. Dude, like da 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 da. He's like so happy he found something. And so he tries to, this is what this guy does. Okay. This is what this guy does. He puts my girl in the front seat of his squad car, the front seat. And they tell me they're going to impound the car and drop me off in a different location.
What the
I
fuck?
know. I
This is
know.
some
I
horror movie
know.
shit.
I know. And it was the H.W. Bush guy that took me to like this weird gas station. But what he didn't know is I have been to that gas station before. And I knew where the jail in that area was. So I knew how to get a cab and go there. And the whole time he was like driving me and telling me, you know what, man? I really appreciate that you stayed calm through that whole thing, even though the girl was a bit hysterical. And I just want to say I appreciate you staying calm, okay? I'm like, stop talking to me. All I'm interested in is where you took her and how to get her away from there. Stop talking to me. And he drops me off. I get to the jail. I get to the jail. It was a big drama to get a cab ride in that weird part of Indiana at that time of night, but I got it. I got it, and I went to that jail. And I got homegirl on the phone, and she said, she said he groped her in the car, the front seat. And what she did when he did that was she just froze. She just froze. And then he didn't try anything else, you know? But we sued that motherfucker. You know what I mean? We sued that motherfucker. But the thing is, like, I got her out of jail at 6 in the morning that morning. And then I got the car out of impound at 7 in the morning. And it was the weirdest, most KKK ass impound you've ever seen in your life. It was the
Uh,
weird, like, the guy was so weird to talk to. It was so hard to get the car. But I just, like, stood there and kept being calm and got the car.
yeah.
Yeah, we sued that guy successfully later. It was a bad night, but then I had to go play the first show with Gatekeeper in just a couple hours after all that happened. I don't even think Jeff knows that. I think I've told him the story, but I've overloaded Jeff with like Jeff. Okay, have you ever seen the show Peep Show?
Yeah.
I'm Jez and he's Mark. It's like when we lived together, I feel so bad for what I put him through. He just didn't. He likes to be very organized and very fastidious, and I was very freewheeling. At the time, like it was very sitcom like. But anyway, I'm not sure if he remembers this story, but that's how I played the first show with Gatekeeper. Was that night happened, and then yeah, I basically just spent all my time like making sure homegirl was like, oh, because she was not happy to be at the show. She was not happy that about anything happening. Like it was a lot of time just in the hotel room, just like, okay, okay, I know, okay,
Holy
okay,
shit, man.
I know, but I'll do the show and then it'll be over. Okay, I know, I know, I know. Well, we could still maybe have fun, but I know, just rest. I know, I know, I know. It was so bad. It was so bad. But we sued that guy, and yeah, sometimes these guys they get a bad idea, and then they do it. It's not good.
So,
But
did the show itself go nice for you? Was the
I
performance
mean, I,
fine?
I wasn't really like once the show finished, and then we actually, Carly Marigold Jackson, her,
Carly Jackson. Is she in the
Carly
band?
Jackson. No, I mean, she's in a bunch of bands. I think she's also an amazing musician.
I
Um,
don't think I know her.
but she was on tour with Savage Master last time Traveler was on tour with them, and she was doing merch for them. But we met her for the first time after all that happened, and then a bunch of other Chicago people, and then things started kind of getting friendlier, nicer. Had a nice meal out, and like, yeah. But it was just yeah, just one of those things that happens. That's like, oh my, are we getting out of this? And then like the fact that that guy like did that, it's just so like gross and insulting. But it's like at the same time, yeah, we followed up on it, and then he didn't show up to court. The usual story, you know.
Yeah. I can guarantee you that was probably pre body cam, or most of that probably wouldn't have happened. Or they would have turned
It
it
was
off.
26, yeah, 2016, I think it was pre-body cam. That's correct, I think.
Yeah, so well, speaking of Traveler specifically, just take us through how you and the boys put it together and meet and decide to do the thing.
Oh yeah, no, I was just finishing the Gatekeeper album, and then Matt Reese messaged me and told me he wanted to do a new band, and I love Matt Reese's playing, and I'm thinking like, oh, I'd love to sing on something with him. And he sent me a few of the song recordings, and these songs were the ones that ended up being Starbreaker, Mindless Maze, and Behind the Iron, which I think still are like, I mean, I'd like to be Mindless Maze back in the set. We haven't played it in a while, but um, I was excited right away, and I got a bus ticket out to Calgary. And this was the coolest thing. It's still the coolest thing. Oh, it's like one of those things that just like works so great. There's this bus called the Canadian Rider Express, and it drops me off. Calgary is a huge city. Just context, Calgary is a vast, like mountaintop city with all kinds of locations. The different highway systems are called trails, and there's all these different trails, right? Um, this bus drops me off right next to Matt. Like, I mean, at like a Walmart across the street from him. It's like a bus for like commuters going through the country of Canada, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
it's like it drops me off like right there. And not only that, Matt moved away from there and lives in a new place with his wife. They're gonna have a lovely little one soon, but now Torian lives right there. So it's like I got this bus. Yeah, it's like so sick. And I was actually staying in Hope, British Columbia, over the summer, working on like new Syrinx music with Graham, formerly of Spell, And yeah, the same bus. And I was like, oh, so sick. Just like go to sleep, wake up, like, hey, what's up, man? It's so good.
So he already had the riffs written for those songs and sent them to you. Is that pretty much how it still goes today?
We collaborated more on the second one,
Hmm.
and the third one he wrote more again. This because he had a lot that he had worked on for a while, and then we had the pandemic happen. So he had a lot saved in the bank for the third one. So it's the second one is like we all kind of collaborated on stuff more. We even like I got like Torian singing with me in some of the choruses on the second one, along with the producer, like just having a fun time in the studio.
Hmm.
The third one though, it's all me singing, and it's kind of back to the first one, except the production is a little more bigger.
Mm-mm. So with Among These Ashes, was it Richard basically hitting you up and asking you to sing similar to how you and Matt kind of met?
Yeah, yeah. Actually, the guy that whose system I'm talking to you on now, he hooked us up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this guy. Yeah, and then what happened there is uh, he just started having me sing on his recordings, and his stuff is very much like he sent me recordings of him singing on it and told me, can you do that, but like you know? So Among These Ashes, that's like a really strong gig for me just because I'm seeing like, we've had a couple lineup changes and we have a couple young musicians in the band who I'm seeing like really get some fulfillment out of playing in the group. And we have a young bass player and this young drummer who are getting to really showcase themselves. And that's always what I appreciate in music. I mean, even in Traveler, like Traveler Live, like I am sometimes, I mean, I'm doing the song and I'm singing, but I'm actually just watching Torian like a fan. Like I'm
Yeah,
on the stage, but I'm just watching him because he's just so sick.
that's awesome, man. With Traveler specifically, obviously you guys have a sci-fi theme going on. So when you're writing lyrics, do you just have a general theme in your head and you go with it, listening to the riff? Is that how it typically goes for you specifically?
Oh, we should get into that, shouldn't we? I guess we
Yeah.
didn't really get into the fact that like I got into it earlier a little bit where we were talking about like pulp books and stuff, but I got so into sci-fi
Hmm.
growing up to the point where like when I saw like the Bruce Covington cover on like the Blood Incantation album, I was taken like it was a Proustian flashback that I experienced when I saw that album cover. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
Like it was full on. And then like the uh the thing with Traveler is that yeah, I'm a hard like okay, the way it worked at first is Matt is into like Star Wars and just cool movies and Alien and Terminator. He's into that. Um Dave Arnold is into NASA and like hard data. Like I fucking love science.
Yeah.
And then I was the guy that's into like Stanislav Lem and Star Trek and like 2001: A Space Odyssey. So like I think those three perspectives together made for some good cooking.
Hmm.
But I think now too, like the song prequel to Madness, like that's Kilgore Trout. that's me imagining myself as Kilgore Trout is what that song is. And so Vonnegut is a huge influence. Like I Breakfast of Champions, when I first read that, especially being like, you know, just a very neurodivergent person who kind of, swings both ways every now and then and stuff, like I just like his writing like suddenly spoke to me in a way that like Hunter S. Thompson or other people that are generational signifiers didn't at
Right.
all. That's what I'm saying. And so yeah, Vonnegut's a big thing in how I write, just the undercurrents.
I love it, man. I know you've written some fiction, specifically referring to, I'm not gonna butcher it here. Journey to, fill it in for me. In the sword.
Somnamblia.
There we go, Sonamblia.
Somnamblia. You read that?
I haven't read it. I was going to ask you to, if you had like a copy you could send me beforehand, but I forgot because I don't have the Swords of Steel omnibus that it appeared in.
Give me a chance to get back to Denver, and I definitely will. I have two copies of it.
Awesome, man.
Yeah,
Well,
give me a chance to get back to Denver, and I definitely will. It's a weird story. It's a stream of consciousness that's just 9 pages long, and uh, people were. It's really weird. Okay, like I think people would read it now and be like, "This is like woke, or whatever they say it is." But I mean, yeah, sure it was, because like I'd finished college at U of M in like 2010. I never thought I was gonna write anything because like I thought I was gonna be a writer when I started school, but I kind of left disillusioned. I left kind of disillusioned from the art world. Like, oh, this is for like the rich kids of other rich people that
yeah.
like this, and they pretend that they're a new guy, and that's what this really is. But like that's jaded. That's jaded. But like it was where my mind was at the time, right? And yeah, like. I did always, when I was like a little kid, imagine myself like just like in the Ernie Hudson interview, or the I remember seeing the Michael Ironside one where he said he started writing his autobiography at 13.
Yeah, that blew
I
my
did that
fucking
too.
mind.
I fucking did that too. I fucking did that too. And I can't even imagine trying to do something like that now. But when you're a kid and you're like thinking, oh, I'm gonna be a writer, it's like
It's a
I
wild
was so
first 13
stoked when he
years.
said that. I was so stoked when he said that. I was like, oh, that's so sick. Like Ironside rules, dude. But like the thing with it is like I tried it. I tried it. I mean, I have like a bunch of things I wrote from when I was a little kid that made it into like, look at these kids sure can write kind of publications. But like this was the first thing I really tried, and it's so weird. I reread it once only, and I'm like, it's like it was written by someone else to me.
Hmm.
Like this like um I imagined my own version of a Dro elf, basically. This gal who's got, a rebellious streak, is powerful, is trying to leave a dominant civilization. I wrote this before I saw Fury Road.
Mm.
I wrote this before Fury Road was a thing. It reminds me, like on the reread, it reminded me of Fury Road. And then she has this simpering sidekick, this cloaked mage, this little sniveling masturbator that's accompanying her everywhere, and it's like I wrote some real like Tumblr kind of stuff without realizing it was Tumblr kind of stuff. You know what I mean? And the hardcore like sword and sorcery guys hated my story. The guy from that wrote Red Sonja is in the intro and calls the spell that I came up with, which was I just imagined colors in my head.
Yeah.
I imagined colors and I associated gems and smoke and different things with it. But he called it the most bizarre spell he's ever read in a sword and sorcery story.
Wow. I mean, that's good though.
The guy, Red Sonja guy, saying that's a notch in my belt, man. I don't
Yeah.
know, maybe more than music, just because
Bizarre
like
is a positive.
I never thought I would write anything, you know what I mean? But like some guy in LA tried to ask me about the story too, and I'm like, you've read that? Okay, so full disclosure, I'm working on a solo album, and I got Mark Zonder from Fate's Warning playing drums on it.
Ooh.
And I've been working on it for a while because I want to make it perfect. Especially like I'm gonna send stuff to him first, so I want it to be like the drums to be really loud. I want it to be like Dolby Atmos ready. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I might finish the story within that album. I might revisit the story within a couple songs on the album. That's what I'm thinking about
That's
doing.
huge, man. I had Mark on, I think he was like episode 70 something. It's been a while since he's been on though. He's a cool dude.
He's amazing, man.
Hmm.
His story is amazing. The way he just like created that amazing studio where all that Metal Blade stuff gets recorded and how it just happened from nothing. He's an incredible guy.
Now you're working on your solo album, but is that itch to write still there? Like beyond lyrics, I mean, to write a story or maybe a novel or something like that.
Maybe a lot of stuff has happened. I've come at life in a way where like I've made lots of mistakes and I've atoned for a lot of them. But I'm the kind of guy. This is going back to the when I was little. It's I brawl with life, man. Every day, get up and kind of like, it's one of those things where like you're a little touched. There's a little bit of a problem, but it's like you got to be a good person. You got to be a good person, and I try to wrestle with that every day. And it's like, uh, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Like, I guess I'm just trying to say, like, it's that way that like I can't be taught. I have to just do it. So a lot of my experiences in life are colored by I don't want to be taught, and I'm just gonna do it, whether that's right or wrong. And I am actually thinking about writing like an auto bio of some kind. Like, but I'm not sure like when I'll do it. I'm not sure if I'm gonna wait a while, but I just I have many stories and many things that have taken place. And um I want to find a way to tell them that that makes sense.
Right. Well, you got one buyer right here whenever you get around to it.
I'll get you that Swords of Steel, man. Like, yeah, I have two copies in Denver, but yeah, I'll be gone from the tour. I think the last show's on the 12th, and then I'll be back in Denver like October 15th. So, I'll get that to you.
Awesome. I appreciate that. So, JP, best musical advice you've been given and who gave it to you?
Oh my God. There's been so many. There's been so many, but who? Oh man. Honestly, I'm gonna go with a guy that no one knows. I'm gonna go with a guy that no one knows because I've gotten things where like you know where it's like I could say something that somebody that, everyone knows told me, and it's good advice. But there was one guy who knew what those people were telling me, or who knew what those people would tell me, but he's like obscure and nobody knows him. He's just a guy from Illinois. I honestly can't even remember his name. He was just in an opening band, but he told me like I noticed you're having trouble singing, and he just showed me how to control my register just in a little like motion. He's just like you're trying to sing like Nazareth and you're trying to sing like in that like kind of between style, but you have to kind of go up this way. You have to always think you're going up this way through your face to do it. And that was actually the best advice I've ever received.
Mm.
It sounds like so like
Yeah.
barely a direction almost, but it's like that was I think of that diagonal line every time I get on stage and every time I have to. Well, if I sing like lower, no, but like when I gotta like sing Speed Queen or Starbreaker or any of that is absolutely what I'm thinking every time. And that was from a guy that he just was singing on stage with like a random band.
So in your earlier years, were you injuring your voice or were you struggling with
Really bad. No,
oh,
really bad. I have people from like a scene where I burned bridges just because my singing was so bad, but I was still trying to get out there and do it. And I didn't want, like I said, I didn't want to be trained. I still don't now. And it's we just did that show in Denver, and that went great. And I felt like for the first time in my life, I could hang out around people that like have been to Berkeley and graduated and things like that. And I'm like, I got no imposter syndrome. I got no like feeling like and definitely in the early days. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, I can admit that now.
one of the things, this sounds bad, I know it does, but one of the things that I enjoy hearing on the show is, talking to people like Ernie Hudson, Michael Ironside, Daniel Stern, and all this stuff. They all have imposter syndrome. Like even the super successful people we all knew and watched on TV, they think they suck. And that always just, because I think the same thing, I think I suck. So it makes me feel better to know that it's just there. I think it's just human nature.
I agree. I
I,
completely agree.
it just gives me a boost, when I want to go write a story or something. I'm like, well, is this going to suck? Well, who cares? Do the thing. Get out and do it.
You got to do the damn thing. That is just the absolute truth, you know. Like it's like I spent all this time mustering up all this pretense, so there must be a thing that I'm going to go do, right?
Yeah.
And then in the earlier days, it wasn't enough of a thing. I would say my criticism is like in the earlier days, it did not end up being enough of a thing to justify the lifestyle choices. But nowadays, I'm like I said, very grateful every day to be in Traveler. Really grateful to be able to sing with those guys. They're the current lineup of the band, my man. Oh my God. Because I mean, like, like Torian and Matt and I being like the core, but then like now we got Nolan on drums now for a couple years, and we got Jake now on bass, and Jake is like such a three-dimensional player. Like it is like oh, when I hear like his supplemental bass lines that he puts into like Deep Space or like how he like rides the grooves in Starbreaker, it's like, oh, the groove is back. It feels so good.
Yeah, yeah. So you've been in several bands throughout your life, man. Just when it comes to albums or maybe bands specifically, what would you say is the most challenging project you've worked on?
Gatekeeper.
Mm,
Jeff has really high standards. And I maybe had the most grueling vocal session of my life doing the first album, and I'm still not happy with it. I think I botched it. But he really like I gotta say, like, I mean, maybe he's listening, because we talk a little bit. I wish we talked more. We talk a little bit though. It's just because I quit the band without saying anything.
mm.
The reason I did is because they were changing when we were working on the album, I can say it. They were changing my lyrics and then sending them back to me and being like, do it more like this. And I was like, no,
Yeah,
you
shit.
know,
Yeah,
no.
shit happens.
So I just I wanted to make songs that were like or I wanted to sing songs that were actually Dark Skull was almost on the second Gatekeeper,
Really?
the new Traveler. Yeah, I ended
I
up
love
using
that
those
song,
lyrics.
dude, by the way.
Yeah,
Great song.
yeah, that was the only finished thing that I had for them. That was the only finished song before we kind of split up during the second album sessions. But I know their singer now. I know their singer from gigging with him before. Love that guy. That
Mm.
guy's got a great voice, and they're doing very good now. I think it's better chemistry with him and Jeff. A big thing is Jeff and I would argue a lot, and it would always come down to like, but listen, Jeff, I know that in this kind of conflict, great music can be made, and it always came back to that. But then it did until it didn't, you know
Yeah,
that kind of thing.
yeah.
But yeah, if he does see this, like yeah, I definitely think his very high standards made me way better at this.
And Jeff has 20 or so bands himself, and he produces for this guy and this band. He's got a lot of shit going on himself too.
There he can really like he can really blow people away. And I'm glad that he's finally doing that with the group with Darren. That group is and oh, he's always loved Darren too, man. The thing is, I know Darren because of him. Like he introduced me to Darren at like his going away party from Canada. Uh like I think it was like 2018 or something. I'm like, this dude just absolutely rocks. And then when he got his house in Seattle and we partied there, that was like some of the best times, dude. Darren rules.
Yeah, Darren's the community hero.
Aaron rules, dude. Like, I don't know what else to say. Like, I'm just glad to know him.
Just speaking on Traveler again, I love just telling you while I got you, Rebel of Earth, love that song.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, that's my favorite song. I had that shit on repeat when I heard
Are
it.
you ever gonna have okay, for real, dude? Are you ever gonna have Rosalind Chow on the show?
I mean, why not?
The song is
Why?
about the three body problem.
Ah, I didn't
It's
know that.
completely about three body problem. Like, are you privy to that? Do you know
I,
that book?
I, I know who Rosalind is, but I'm not familiar with the three body problem.
Oh, dude, I'm so stoked to tell you about this on the show. The Three Body Problem is an incredible Chinese sci-fi book. All right. It's about just aliens that are planning to invade from a certain point to later on, and they're trying to like they have a few people that they're talking to. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And just the way that it is told and plotted out is like it's Eastern perspective. It's like a game of Go versus a game of chess, right? But it's written so ornately, like in that Solaris or even a little bit of Frank Herbert, like kind of feeling, but it's like so Eastern at the same time. it's an incredible, like it's a book that got into my brain in the same way things that I read, things with art by, Bruce Covington sometimes, like or Pennington, like how things like that would bore into my head when like, you know, or how about okay, in Brave New World when the Savage meets the Master Controller.
Yeah.
Like, do you remember how amazing that was to read the first time?
Yeah.
The whole three body problem is like that. The whole three body problem is like that. And I've only read the first in the series, but now there's a Netflix show, and Rosalind Chow is the main character in the show.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah, and it's incredible. It's done. I mean, there's a couple very famous actors now too, but the thing is, like, I know like 80s and 90s and 70s stuff, so I don't like know everybody. But there's some other like really big people, and like a Game of Thrones guy, I think. But it's the way they did it was I was very satisfied with what was portrayed in front of me from what I had read.
I'm getting a reading list built up on this episode here.
Yeah, but Rebels of Earth. Okay, I can control my changes. I promise I can do it. Okay, I can do it. Rebels of Earth is totally about that, and it's I yeah, like Dave Arnold. This it was kind of his last will and testament in Traveler before his like he's not like totally quit from the band, but he just like he became an EMT,
Hmm.
and he became an EMT on like high risk first responder kind of sites, like dangerous work sites, roughneck places. So he very busy. But
Yeah.
he showed me this book, and I'm thankful because I haven't read a great sci-fi book like that in a long time, like long while.
Just generally speaking of Canada, like the Canadian metal scene, there's so many fucking great bands coming out of there. Like just Traveler, off the top of my Riot City. Like we were talking about Jordan the other day. Just when you and him, vocalists, are probably two of the best of the new wave of traditional heavy metal scene. I just love both you guys.
That's very nice of you to say, Justin. I think he annihilates everybody, though. I don't, I've watched him just annihilate. Like, I mean, a whole row of ducks just heads off, annihilate him.
I tell him every
So
couple of weeks
thank
when
you.
I listen to Riot City, I'm like, dude, you're second to none, and I hope you realize that.
Yeah, yeah. No, I remember hyping them up to the Germans in Hamburg before they had seen them, and I'm like, no, no. It's like he makes Halford sound like he sings like Peter Steele. Like,
It's like,
I'm
yeah,
just
when
I'm
they
just
do
gonna
this,
tell you.
when they do the Sentinel, you feel like you're at Priest in the '80s.
He sings it even higher.
Mhm.
No, I remember I did it with them at Brofest in the UK, and he told me, "Can you just sing the recording? Because I'm gonna go even higher." I'm like, "Okay," and yeah, it sounds wild. It sounds wild.
All right, JP. Question I like to ask everyone near the end here is: have you ever had an experience you would consider supernatural, paranormal, or an event you can't explain?
Actually, no. It's disappointing to say, right? I really haven't. Maybe I've been too inside my own head and I don't pay attention well enough. That could be. That very well could be. But like, I'll tell you about something though. This summer, I was telling you I was staying in Hope, British Columbia, right?
Hmm.
And I was staying in my friend's cabin. He has a cabin on his property. And in that cabin, I saw the movie Communion with Christopher Walken for the first time. The Whitley
Yeah.
Strieber. Yeah, I saw that movie for the first time this summer in the cabin in the woods in Canada. And I watched it like four times, dude.
That'll
I had to
conjure up
like
some
keep
feelings.
I had to keep are you old? I had to keep watching it. Like I was just like, what does he say to that guy? Wait, no, let me turn that up. Like I just it really got in my head. It really did. And I was like, am I gonna meet these little blue fuckers?
I consider this a bit, a tangent of supernatural. What about psychedelic?
Yes. Yes, but it didn't feel like an out of body experience to me. It just felt like my mind was taking itself apart more
Yeah.
so than what it doesn't feel like something where it's like I don't feel like colors spilling in or anything like that. I feel like everything becomes more pronounced, and suddenly I'm like aware of how much I blah blah blah, and I'm like, oh, why do I do that so much? I'm always blah blah blah. It's a different kind of headspace than something I would say is like surreal or supernatural, right?
Gotcha, gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, JP, just to put a bow on this thing here, what's on the horizon? I know you got some tours coming up. Anything in the pipeline?
We got Traveler Tour. That's we got a link tree on all of our pages, Heavy Metal Traveler. You can find us on Instagram, Heavy Metal Traveler. But we got a really big thing coming next year that I cannot talk about.
Say no more.
No, yeah.
We're looking forward to it now.
Oh, thanks, man. Appreciate it. I'll give you that copy of that book too.